Hi everyone, welcome to my crochet podcast. My name's Catherine Nerona. I'm a crochet designer from South London, where I live with my husband and my two daughters who are 11 and 7. I go by the name Catherine Crochets on Instagram and Facebook, and my designs are available on Ravelry, Etsy and Love Crafts. I think that's about it. If you like the podcast, please do like and subscribe. And if you'd like to drop a comment below, then that'd be lovely. I'd love to chat with you or hear your thoughts on the podcast. Thanks to everyone who watched the last podcast. I hope you enjoyed it if you watched it. And if you're new here, big welcome if this is your first time watching. It is lovely to have all of you here today. I've got quite a lot to show you today. I've got couple of new patterns that have been released since the last podcast, and I've got some finished objects and possibly just one work in progress actually that I'm going to show today, I think. And although it does feel like I've got a lot of works in progress, but maybe not as many as I thought, and a couple of other things that I'm involved in at the moment. So I hope you're all well. I hope you've got a nice hot drink with you and that you're working on some nice crochet, or if you're doing something else, that it's something enjoyable and not too boring. So let's get started. It's quite grey today, so I've lit a candle. I haven't put any lights on, so this is just natural light. I thought that would probably look better. So hopefully it's not too dark, and when I hold things up you can see them properly. So what I'm going to start with is the two new patterns that I've released since the last time I released a podcast, which was about a month ago. So the first one isn't a brand new pattern, but it is a new release. So the pattern is it's called the new Dawn Shawl. I'll hold it up so you can see it. And it is a triangular shawl. So I'll move it across like this. I've realised that with my setup, I have to have the camera quite close, otherwise I'm tiny and miles away from the camera, but then I haven't really got any room to move backwards to show you bigger items. So it's a bit hard to get the whole to show you. I think I'm going to have to think about the best way to hold up bigger items like blankets and shawls and things to show you, but I hope you got the idea of it there. So this the pattern for this shawl was actually first published in Crochet Now magazine. I think it was in May earlier this year, and then after it's been published after 4 months, then I'm able to release the pattern myself, which is what I've now done. And it's available at the moment it's just on Etsy and Ravelry. There was a hiccup, I think, transferring it to Love Crafts, so it's seems to be stuck in limbo somewhere along the way at the moment, so hopefully that might sort itself out soon. There's a little note on the Love Crafts website saying that they're having some trouble at the moment and they hope to sort it out. But anyway, it is on Etsy and Ravelry, so hopefully that's enough places. It's made with a cotton yarn called, I should have checked all these details, I'm pretty sure it's called Cotton Soft by King Cole, and I'll put all the details and links to the patterns and things in the show notes, so if you're interested. Although it's a big triangle, it's nearly symmetrical but not quite, and one half, so you start at one end, work to the middle, increasing along one edge and then decreasing, and so one half, the first half, can't remember which half it is now, let me have a look. They do end up actually pretty much same length, but anyway, one half is made with UK treble stitches, and then when you get to the halfway point, the second half, I think this is it is really hard to tell actually, no, this might be trebles, is made in half treble stitches in UK terms. So it the slope along the decrease edge decreases slightly quicker with the half trebles than with the trebles. And one side has got, so it starts with a yellow section with this sort of lacy pattern, then an orange section with the same lacy pattern, then a white section with bubbles, a yellow section with a lacy pattern, and then this central panel is done with tapestry crochet. Then the second half, it's slightly different. It's got yellow again, which is the same, bubbles, and then orange, but it doesn't have, this half has an extra yellow corner as well, just to make it a bit more interesting, really. Yeah, so that's it was made for a sort of early summer issue, so that's why it's in these bright orangey yellow sunny colours, but I think it would look really good in perhaps more neutral colours, autumny colours. You could pick whatever colours you want for it. So if you'd like to have a go at it, I'll pop a link and you can find the pattern, as I said, on Ravelry and Etsy. And that's called, I don't know if I told you the name, it's called the New Dawn Shawl. The second release that I've had since I last spoke to you is my Paper Dolls blanket pattern. I can't remember, I think I might have shown it to you last time, I should have checked, I can't remember. I think it was finished, but I hadn't written it up. I'm pretty sure it was finished. I seem to have had it hanging around on the floor waiting to be written up for ages. So I'll just show it to you quickly again. So it's got tapestry crochet paper dolls, oops, along, that's one end, and then you've got the same along the other end of the blanket, and then the middle section you do all the stitches in the back loops only, so you get this ribbed effect, so it makes it nice and cozy, a bit chunkier, a bit of texture. Now the way I made mine was I did alternating dresses and trousers, but in the pattern there's instructions for if you want to do them all trousers or all dresses, and it's literally just 2 rows that you do differently depending on whether you want them dresses or trousers. I'll hold it up and you can see it, you can sort of tell where it is. It's these 2 rows here which are different depending on whether you do it dresses or trousers. So there's, for those 2 rows, there's an alternative version for if you wanted to make all trousers or all dresses, or you can go with the main version, which is alternating trousers and dresses. And there's a chart as well, so if you wanted to do a different combination, it would be really straightforward for you to work that out as well. The yarn is Starcraft Special Aran, which is 100% acrylic yarn, so it's really soft, quite chunky because it's Aran. So the blanket itself works up quite quickly, and there's not too much tapestry crochet. This middle section you can just whiz through really quickly, so it makes a lovely gift. Doesn't take too much time to work up. Make a lovely baby blanket, or for a toddler or a small child, or even for yourself on your sofa at home in your lounge. So that pattern was released earlier this week and is on Etsy and Ravelry, and I think it's on Lovecrafts. That one seemed to transfer from Ravelry to Lovecrafts okay, but I'll have to double check that, whether the whole thing is completed. If it's there, then I'll put a link to that as well. So that's my 2 pattern releases this month, which is quite exciting. These things always seem to come in spurts. You go through a quiet spell with not much to release, and then everything seems to happen at once. I'll just have a drink of tea. My oldest daughter, Lydia, she's just gone off on her first ever residential school trip this morning. She would have had one actually a couple of months after the start of COVID, so about a year and a half ago now, but that was obviously cancelled because COVID had just started and we were all in lockdown. And normally they would have done one at the end of, she's in year 6 now, she's 11. Normally they would have done one at the end of year 5, at the end of the summer term, but they didn't plan anything, I think, because things were just still so uncertain. So they're doing one now. She's left this morning, it's Friday. So we dropped off at school. They're staying at school for the morning, having lunch there, and then leaving on the minibus after lunch, staying for the weekend, and they should be back Monday afternoon. So they're all packed up with little wheelie suitcases, sleeping bags, pillows. We got a kit list. They need 3 pairs of trainers. It seems crazy. They need, and yeah, the kit list says 3 pairs of trainers so they need 1 pair for just general wear and evenings. Then they need 2 pairs for the activities, 1 pair for water sports, which can get soaking wet, and the other pair to wear for activities where they might just get muddy but not soaking wet. And they need 2 towels as well, 1 for general showers and 1 for the water sports activities. And then obviously changes of clothes and things like that, wash kit. And they also need us to pack everything as compactly as possible. So it was quite a challenge. There were lots of slightly stressed mums and dads on the WhatsApp group last night saying, how small have you managed to pack everything? Anyway, I'm completely digressing and going off topic. But yeah, we dropped her at school this morning, so she'll be leaving and going down there to Sussex this afternoon, and she's very excited about that. Although her little sister is going to miss her a lot and is quite upset that she's going. So we're going to have to spend lots of extra special time with her this weekend to try and keep her happy and busy and occupied and not missing her big sister too much. Right, anyway, that was completely unrelated to crochet, so apologies if that wasn't interesting to you in the slightest, but still talking about my daughter. So moving on to finished items now. Last time I told you it was a few days, I think it was just under a week the last time I did a podcast until my daughter's 11th birthday, and I told you that I was planning on making her something and that I'd started a jumper but realised that I wasn't going to be able to finish it in time. So that hasn't really moved on at all, and to be honest, because I'm going to have to do that in secret when she can't see it, I'm not sure if it's even going to be ready for Christmas. I think I'm just going to have to go for it though, because if it's not ready for this winter, then it might not fit her next winter. So I might have to prioritise that a bit though. But at the rate it's going at the moment, I've only done about 2 more rows in a month. I've been working on other things. But I did make her, which I think I told you about and I hadn't started, it's called the Rainbow Blanket, and it's by Lindsay Nunes at Lottie and Albert, and I used up loads and loads of my scrap. Can't remember, I think it was Aran. This is all Aran, I think, or is it DK? I can't remember. It's either Aran or DK acrylic yarn. So, and I just changed, I used 5 strands, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I think this is Aran. I used 5 strands and a big hook. I can't even remember the hook size. And I followed the pattern, and I just changed 1 strand every so often. So this, you are never going to be able to see the whole thing all at once with me standing here. I'm going to try and stand up to see if I can get a bit more in the shot for you. So it's all sort of blues, and mainly blues and greens with the odd bit of pink, and it's really, really quick and easy to make. I hid in here and made it one weekend mainly, and yeah, her little sister wants one now too for her birthday, which is in January, so I've got a bit longer to make that one, but I think I'm going to do that. I've used up most of my Aran stash now, or all the decent colours anyway that they'd like, and so I think I'm going to have to use DK for her blanket, but that's fine. I'll just use 6 strands instead of 5. The pattern suggests making pom-poms along one edge, but I've never really had much luck with my pom-poms recently. I remember making them when I was little and think maybe they didn't, but at the time I thought they all turned out great. Whenever I've tried making one recently, it's all just been all straggly and rubbish, so I need to improve my pom-pom making skills. But another option was to put tassels on, so I was planning on doing that, but actually by the time I got to the end of the blanket I realised I hadn't saved enough yarn to make any tassels, so it is pom-pom and tasselless, and to be honest I think it's going to stay that way. She really likes it. She has it on her sort of a little armchair she's got in her bedroom, and it's all snuggly, and sometimes in the evening she wraps herself up in it and wanders around the house sort of wearing it. So that was her birthday present, which I was quite a success really. I was quite pleased that I made that in about 3 days. I just went for it, and it works up so quickly as well. So I'd really recommend that as a great pattern if you want to make something as a gift really quickly. And yeah, it would be nice for a grown-up as well, or a child, anyone. Right, what next? I'm going to show you these because I have a pile of finished objects over here, but I've also got these over here, and I was thinking, oh, I bet I forget to show you them because they're not in the pile. So now I've thought of it, I'll show you them now to make sure that I don't forget. So these are my first ever, it's not my pattern, but it's the first time I've ever made crochet crochet pumpkins. So I think the pattern came out last year, it's not new this year. It's from Crochet Love Melbourne, Fran, I can't remember her last name, it says on the pattern. But yeah, she's on Instagram as Crochet Love Melbourne, and this is her pattern, and I've been admiring it, and every year I see all the gorgeous pumpkins that people make and wanted to make some, and so this year I did. So it's made with brioche crochet, which I have done a little bit before. The graphite mandala rug that I made is a sort of brioche technique. I think with what I'm finding, I don't know if anyone else is, but with a lot of these mosaic and brioche and overlay, there's all different variations between the patterns and slightly different ways of me doing it, although they all kind of use the same principles. But so you get this lovely sort of alternating stripy ribbed effect, and it works up really, really quickly because you start off with a little circle to make the beginning, and then it increases quite quickly, and then it's literally just a cylinder up the sides. You don't decrease at the top, you just thread your yarn through the stitches and pull it tight to pull it in at the top. And then to give it the sort of squished pumpkin-y shape, you do a few, and it also gives it the ribs, you do a few long stitches around your pumpkin, which I thought would be really visible, but actually I can see them if you look really closely. If I hold it a bit closer, can you see there's one there? So it goes round and in the bottom, and you can see them at the bottom there too going in, but actually you have to look quite closely really, and I bet if I didn't tell anyone they were there, they probably never notice. So the yarn I used is acacia yarn from Hobby Yarns, and it is a mixture of cotton and acrylic, and it's a DK yarn, and I think it works really well for this pattern. And the colours, I had them left over from a hobby yarn challenge that I did in July when I made a baby blanket, and I had some of the colours left over, so they were absolutely perfect colours for these pumpkins. So those are the two pumpkins I've made, and again I will put a link to the pattern as well if you'd like to make your own, because they are lovely, and it is of course the time of year to make pumpkins. Right, a bit more tea before it goes cold. Right, finish it off. This one, the next one, I can't remember if it was finished last time or not. I think it might have been. So I should have double checked, because then I decided it wasn't finished. So I've put it in my pile, but now thinking about it, I think it was. So I'm going to show it to you really quickly. Because all I've done since last time is block it, and I have started writing up the pattern, but it's not ready yet. So next time I'll be able to tell you there's a pattern for it, and you will see it yet again. But anyway, this is a table runner. So all these trees are upside down because half of it, the trees are pointing one way, then you get to the middle and there's a sort of ring of stars where you could put a candle or something, and then in the second half of the table runner all the trees are pointing the other way. There we go. And this was made for another challenge with Hobby yarns, and this is made with their rainbow cotton yarn, and I have nearly finished writing up the pattern, and hopefully it will be ready to release really soon. And Hobby are also going to put it available on their website, and providing I get it to them in time, it will be there before Christmas, in case you want to make it for Christmas this year. I'll definitely have it out on my usual places for sale in the next couple of weeks, but with Hobby they're going to translate it into various other languages. I'm not quite sure what the list is, but lots of European languages, I assume, where they sell their yarns. Maybe others, I don't really know. So if you're interested in getting it in another language that you think Hobby might translate it into, wait, and you can buy it through the Hobby website when they've once they've translated it. So it's quite exciting. The first time I'm having a pattern translated. Be interesting to see what it looks like in different languages. Yeah, it's made with mosaic crochet, 2-row repeat, so there's no ends until you get to the end of the work. I'm going to hold it this way because it's odd showing you upside down trees all the time. And yeah, it's got a red Christmassy border. You can make it in whatever colours you like, and it's called the Starry Spruce Table Runner. You could also, if you want, make like just a smaller bit of it and do it as a wall hanging. That would look quite good, I think. And you could even just do 3 trees and some stars and do perhaps a table mat as well. So it's quite versatile, but I've made a massive, that's the back of it, you can see, not so attractive, but it's going to be on a table, so all you'll see is the front. So that I'm probably about halfway through writing it up, maybe a bit more. It's taken me a little bit longer because most, if not all, of my patterns are up till now have been tapestry crochet patterns, and I have all of my patterns have a big explanation with photos showing you how to do tapestry crochet, how to change colour, how to carry the yarn along, and some tips and things about that. So that's the same for all my patterns, and I've got that explanation, and maybe I might make a few small tweaks or changes, but essentially that's all ready to go each time I release a new tapestry crochet pattern. But this being my first mosaic crochet pattern, I had to do all of that explanation of how to do mosaic crochet, how to what the chart means, because it's slightly different to tapestry crochet. So you probably know, if you've done mosaic crochet, you'll have a chart and it'll have all the different colours of each square for each stitch, but some of them you don't make until the next row. You come down with a longer stitch to fill in that bit. So all of that explanation I had to write, which I've now done, and now I'm on to the bit of literally just writing out the pattern, which is good. So hopefully not too much longer now, but that's why it's taking me a bit longer, because it's a new technique with a slightly new sort of style of writing patterns to me. So that should be out though, hopefully in the next week or two. Right, what next? I'm throwing things down on the floor as I tell you about them, so it's getting a bit chaotic down here. Right, this one I finished not last night but the night before, and this is a new shawl that I've made, and this, I think I showed it to you last time or possibly the time before if it hadn't grown much. So I bought the yarn for this at Unravel, which is a yarn festival in Farnham, which was in, I think it was in June, May or June, something like that. It was a very wet day and I went with my friend Marissa, and I had in mind to make a shawl like this with the yarn when I bought it. It wasn't all completely in my head, but I knew it was going to be a triangle shawl, plain green with some sort of patterned bit along here, and I was thinking of doing something a bit leafy. So the yarn is 4-ply, 100% wool, BFL yarn, hand dyed from River Knits. It's called Neen, the range. The dark green is called Tannenbaum. I'm not sure what the light green is. In some lights it looks more yellow, and in some photographs, and in others it is actually a sort of limey green colour. But it depends on the light how it looks. So I am really pleased with this. I think it's going to be really, really cosy because it's 100% wool. So this plain section is all ribbed by doing the stitches all in the back loops, and then this bit, it took me quite a bit of had done a swatch, but actually I changed it as I made this bit, so there was a fair bit of frogging and redoing when I got to this bit. But it's mosaic, but it's not exactly the way I've ever done mosaic before. So it's a combination of sort of a couple of different ways of doing mosaic crochet, and a combination of some sort of things I learnt doing the graphite mandala, which is more overlay crochet. I don't think you'd call this brioche though, to be honest. So, but it's a sort of overlay mosaic-y type technique. So I'm going to write this up, but this bit, with it being another new technique, and possibly one I've completely made up, being a sort of hybrid between various ways of doing things, I'm going to have to really think about how I explain it, and I think I'm going to put in quite a few photos step by step. So I'm going to remake a bit of these few rows for perhaps a couple of motifs, and take step by step photos. So I think it's going to take actually quite a while to write this one up. I'll show you the back if you're interested. So that's what the pattern bit looks like on the back. Now when I went to the yarn festival, I bought one skein of the dark green and 2 little minis of the light green. So the small ones were, I think, 20 grams each, so I had 40 grams of the light green, and when I was doing the edging, I nearly ran out of the light green, but just made it to the end with a tiny bit left. So that was a big relief, because I almost stopped when I was about halfway through the last row of the edging, because I thought there was no way I was actually going to get to the end. But so I thought I'd frog it and redo it with a slightly different design, but I thought no, keep going and just see, and I'm so pleased I did, because I did make it to the end, and this is my preferred version of the edging. But with the dark green, I bought one 100-gram skein of it, and I got to, not sure where, about there, say somewhere like that, and ran out, and so I had to order another one online, and it is actually it is a different dye lot, and it is an ever so slightly different shade of green. I don't think it's noticeable, I don't mind, but the first one is slightly more yellowy, and the second part, it all depends on the light and it's not very noticeable, but the second part is slightly more bluey than the first skein of dark green. And again, I did have some of the dark green left, but not much, so it was quite good really to use most of it though, and not have too much left over. So this, I'm going to call it the Minerva Shawl, and I will be writing up the pattern for this, but you'll have to bear with me, as I think it's going to take a bit of time to get it good, how I want it to be, because I want it to be really clear and with plenty of photos for this bit, explaining where to place the stitches and how to do them, because otherwise I think I'll just get lots of confused people buying my pattern, not knowing how to do it. So I want to make sure that it is really clear, and I'll also probably be looking for a few people to test it as well, to check whether what I write is clear, and people can follow it and work out how to do it, because it's, once you know what you're doing, it isn't tricky. I think the challenge for me is just going to be explaining it. It's one of those things where I think showing how to do it is going to be much clearer than telling in words how to do it. So plenty of photos, I think, for these rows, showing you step by step each bit, should hopefully do the trick. So that's it for finished objects. I've got a couple of things on the go, but only really one I'm going to show you because that's the only one I've been working on. So last time I told you I'd started making a revival sweater from Heather at HD Designs Crochet, and I had made the grand total of 1 granny square for it out of a total of 24 I need in total. Well, it's a bit hard to hold them all up because there's quite a lot and they're all in this bag here, but now I'm up to 20, so I've just got 4 more to do. And I made myself, like I said last time, part of my me not getting on and making more was that I wanted to make a list of all the different colour combinations I was going to make of them. So I had 4 different colours of yarn. I'll show you those first. That's easy. And this is all from my stash. So I had these 4 different colours of yarn, and I've got a bit more of that, but I think that will be enough. And I called them A, B, C, D, and just wrote that down in lots of different permutations to work out the 24 squares I'm going to make. So I actually only did 12 different permutations of the yarn, and I'm doing 2 of each, and then because 12 squares go on the front of the jumper and 12 go on the back, so I can't really show you them, but here they all are. Did you hear that donk? I don't know if the microphone picked it up. That was just the postman, in case you were wondering. So they're all screwed up in a bag. Now the yarn, because it's all from my stash, it's all DK acrylic yarn, but for example this bright turquoise is much chunkier than the magenta, but I'm hoping that like you can see there, this square, well, it looks like massively bigger. Maybe it's how I'm holding it, but some of the squares are slightly different size to others, but I'm hoping once they're all joined and stretched out a bit, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I hope not anyway. And I was debating what colour to use to join them. So if you know the revival sweater, you probably do. It's got a panel of 12 granny squares on the front and 12 on the back, and then you have a joining colour, and you also use that colour to do the sleeves, which are plain, and it has like a roll neck in the same colour. And quite a few people have made it with dark grey, and it looks great, so I'm just going to go with that as well. And I've got the dark grey in my stash already, so I'm just going to go with that, and then I can make the whole thing with yarn from my stash, which brings me on to so I had made 1 granny square for this, and then I heard about a make along called Stashtober, which it was initiated by Claudia at Crochet Luna, but there's also a whole bunch of other designers involved. I think they're all crochet designers. I think it's a crochet thing. It might be knit as well, I'm not sure. And the idea is that you make a project, make a design by any one of the designers. I think there's about 8 of them, maybe 6 or 8 different designers. So you choose one of their patterns and you make it in October, but you're only allowed to use yarn from your stash. And one of the other rules was that you could, if you wanted, finish off an existing whip, providing it was no more than 50% finished, and mine was nowhere near 50% finished. I just had the 1 granny square, so it was perfect. So my aim, if I can, is to finish this jumper by the end of October for Stashtober with yarn from my stash, and I'll put some links to the more details about that if you want to find out a bit more about it and join in. So yeah, that's my whip, the main whip that I'm focusing on at the moment. Another thing that I'm joining in with this October is Organised October, which is a whip along, and it's initiated by Laura at Gosling and Plum, and she's also got they're here so I can tell you them all without missing anyone else. There's And Into the Trees, Gosling and Plum, Labours of Love Crochet, Marta Mitchell Designs, and So Crafty Naz are all hosting it with her, and she does this I think every year, or quite often. She's done it quite a few times, and the idea is that it's everybody works at their own pace. You decide what you want to get done, and you just try and tick off and complete as many of your whips as you can. And she does these lovely printables, so you can have this bingo grid, which I think there's a few others, but this is the most popular one. It's the one I like the most. And so you can choose, for example, 9 whips that you want to work on in October, and then each one has next to it has a column of 4 squares that you can colour in as you complete it, and then you can also give yourself a reward at the end of the month if you want to, if you finish all your whips. So realistically, I don't think I'm going to get all of these done, but it's good to have plans. I think 9 was, maybe I should have just left some squares blank, but because there's 9 squares, I sort of felt, well, I might as well put something in each of them. So the first one is the Minerva Shawl, which is the green shawl I just showed you. So that's all finished. The next box, I've got my Revival sweater for Stashtober. The next box, I've got the Juniper jumper, which is the bubbly jumper that I've started for my daughter. So hopefully I'll make a good bit more progress on that, because it would be good to have 2 of them made for Christmas, but I'm not sure. I'll finish off my Revival and then see how I get on with that. Pumpkins, I want to make some pumpkins, so I've made 2. I've got another pumpkin pattern from another designer, so I might make 2 more. My connected cushion, which I've spoken about before, I have finished both sides of it, and I've also got a massive cushion pad to go inside because it wound up really big, and for some reason I've just stopped now at the edging stage. You've got to put an edging on it and then you join it, so I just need to get on with that. This one, it's another challenge from Hobby Yarn, and it's called Hobby Cozy Fall, and the idea is to make something inspired by autumn leaves. So for that I've chosen Hobby's soft alpaca yarn in these 3 colours, which is a 4-ply, I think. Super fine, it says. I'll show you the back. Oops. Different countries have different ways of categorising their yarn, don't they? I think it's probably about the same as a 4-ply. Anyway, so I've got those 2 colours and this one, and I've got mostly this one, which is going to be the main colour, 2 balls of this one, and I think I'm just looking at that, I think I've only got 1 of the green, and I'm gonna make, I've got an idea in my head. Initially it was going to be a scarf or a wrap, just a rectangle, but now having just made a triangle shawl, I think I've sort of got the bug a bit for making things that shape, and I quite like wearing them as well, with the main point of the V round here, and then the 2 tails hanging over the shoulder. So I might make another triangular shawl, so it'll be mainly in this bluey green, and then I'm going to put leaves on it in this colour. Different design to what's on my Minerva though, but I've got an idea. And then I think I'll do the edging in this green. So that's the plan. and that's something to do by I think it's about the 24th of November, something like that. So I want to get started on that soon as well. So that's one of the other things on my organised October grid. And then on the bottom row, these are all commissions which I won't be able to show you, but which I need, these two I need to get made by December, but I haven't actually got the yarn for them yet. And this one I have got the yarn for. So when they're released, you'll see those eventually, but it won't be for a while yet. And I think that's about it, just looking around on the floor, but I don't think I've got anything else to show you. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed spending some time with me, and it'd be lovely to hear from you. If you'd like to drop a comment, let me know what you're working on, what you thought of the podcast, and have a lovely day, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.